One of the most thrilling machines in the motorcycle world, sport bikes. Sport bikes are some of the fastest, quickest handling machines on the road, and we're going to explore the world of sport bikes right here at the International Motorcycle Shows. Hi, I'm Robert with NewTo2, and what do you say we take a quick peek starting at this beautiful MotoGP machine right behind us over here. In looking at the super bikes, you're looking at 1000cc category bikes. The middleweight sport bike category tends to be about a 600cc bike. Now, it's awfully difficult to tell these bikes from the outside how big they are, but it basically boils down to horsepower. A super bike is coming in at about 160, 170, maybe even 180 horsepower, whereas the 600cc bikes tend to be around 120 to 135 horsepower. That means a lot more manageable package and definitely a better choice. But we're still talking about a ton of horsepower, phenomenal handling, and maybe not the best choice for an absolute beginning rider. The 250 class sport bike, well, that's a rare breed out there. There's not too many of the small sport bikes anymore. Kawasaki makes the 250 Ninja. That 250 Ninja has all the style of the bigger sport bikes, but it features, of course, a 250cc parallel twin engine. With 2 cylinders, it's super efficient, incredibly light, and it's still a great handling motorcycle. You've got 17-inch rims, you've got just enough power to get you going down the freeway with no problem at all, and a big benefit, that smaller engine is phenomenal gas mileage, 61 miles to the gallon, and all that sport bike style. The custom world is floated into the sport bike scene as well, too. You're seeing a lot of wild paint jobs out there and modifications made to make your sport bike look completely unique to everybody else's. This particular bike is owned by two-wheel tuner editor Jason Britton. It was customized by CSC. Nick and Glotta did a beautiful job on the bike, and this one's actually a lot more subtle than a bunch of the work out there. One of the biggest changes to this particular bike is a change to a single-sided swing arm. That rear wheel looks like it's floating in air, and that's a huge modification. This bike represents one of the pinnacles of custom sport bikes. This new Kawasaki Concourse represents another type of sport bike out there. You've got the big powerful engine, you've got the rigid chassis, but you've got an upright handlebar setup and a larger fairing. Blocks a lot more wind off of you when you're going down the road. Of course, with all that power, you need comfort because you're going to get to ride the motorcycle for a long, long time, and that's the point of the sport touring bike, is to find twisty roads that are way over the horizon. And if you're going on those long trips, you're going to need a set of saddlebags to carry all your stuff. Sport touring motorcycles, one of the many, many different types of variations of sport bikes on the market. BMW's got a really cool sport bike out there, and that's the HP2. It has 2 cylinders, but it's not a V-twin, it is a flat twin. That's 1 cylinder sticking flat out on either side of the crankcase. It's a whole new configuration of motorcycle, still has a cool rigid chassis, has very sticky tires, strong brakes, and a very sporty riding position. But as you're floating around the sport bike world looking for what bike is perfect for you, you got to keep on looking because there's a whole lot of options out there. Now, one of the things on a sport bike that you have to get used to, and maybe you love it, maybe you don't, is the riding position. You'll notice as I'm sitting on this Aprilia RSV Melee, I'm leaning way forward. I've got a lot of weight on my wrists here, and my feet are tucked up really high up on the foot pegs. That's to give you maximum cornering clearance when you're going around the corner. These bikes lean way over. They lean a lot further over when they're going faster around the corners, so you need that extra cornering clearance down here. Now, the reason that you're leaned so far forward on the bike is to get into a tuck, to get under the bubble. When you're going down the straightaway like this, you want to be tight and underneath the bubble. Then when you're going around corners, your body weight is forward. You're trying to keep as much as your weight forward on the bike as you can. Unlike a cruiser where you're sitting way far back like this, a little bit more comfortable, this bike is not comfortable, but it's made for a mission, and that mission is to go fast around the corner. When you're talking about mass-produced American sport bike, there's only one answer out there, and that is Buell. Buell's new 1125R features a V-twin engine, making 145 horsepower, has a very different front braking system, very unique to Buell, has still got the rigid chassis that sport bikes are known for. It's a little bit more open bodywork, but it has that rigid frame. Help you go through the corners. If you like your motorcycles with an American flair, Buell has got a sport bike for you. The Quanon is the newest sport bike in the North American market. It's also the smallest street production sport bike. Made by Kymco out of Taiwan, this little bike is only $3,400, and it's a great way to get into sport bike riding, that sport bike style, without spending a whole lot of money. The light sport category is a great place to start out for a new rider. These bikes have got all that sport bike style that everybody loves, but they've got the motors that are a little bit less stressed. The Suzuki SV650S is one of those bikes. You can see it's got the full racing type fairing, but the motor inside is a 650 V-twin, not quite as brutal in the horsepower department, a lot more forgiving for a new rider. Still have strong brakes and still have a nice rigid chassis, so that way that bike handles well. A little bit lower on the technological front is the GS500F. Again, you've got that full fairing and that sport bike look, but a slightly less tech, air-cooled, parallel 500cc motor. While the Concourse represents the king of horsepower in the sport touring category, towards the other end of the spectrum is the GT bike. And the Moto Guzzi Norge 1200, that's a really neat option out there. It's an air-cooled 1200cc V-twin shaft drive. It's still got the saddlebags, it's still got great handling, much less stressed engine, and a much more relaxed bike to ride, but still having a lot of sporting capabilities. Well, as you can see, there's sport bikes of all different types and all different sizes out there. Looks like a lot of fun, doesn't it? I'm Robert with NewTo2, and we'll see you down the road.